Subscribe to our channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Kautilya's Fincast. Welcome to Kautilya's Fincast for July 1 to July 15, 2020. Let's begin with corporate news. Carlyle Group announced an agreement under which Comfort Investments II will invest $235 million in Nxtra Data Limited, a subsidiary of Airtel, the major player in India's enterprise connectivity segment. The already struggling cement industry has been hit hard by the coronavirus crisis. Management commentaries on demand revival haven't been very encouraging. So, many cement manufacturers have delayed their capex plans. Intel is the 11th foreign investor in the Reliance Industries subsidiary since Jio's first deal with Facebook was announced. Intel Capital will invest 1,894.50 crore rupees in Jio platforms. Maruti Suzuki has launched its vehicle lease subscription service for individual customers under Maruti Suzuki Subscribe brand by tying up with Oryx Auto Infrastructure Services Limited, Japan, to launch this service in India. A few months after furloughing many employees, SoftBank-backed hospitality firm Oyo has now decided to offer its employees deeply discounted ESOPs. India Bulls Housing Finance reported an 86% plunge in consolidated net profit at 137 crore rupees for the March quarter due to higher provisioning. India Bulls Housing Finance Limited has raised 2,200 crore rupees from Oaktree Capital by pledging a part of its real estate loans to the global stressed assets investor. Two people directly aware of the transaction said, requesting anonymity. HDFC Bank reported 21% growth in its advances, which totaled 10.04 lakh rupees crore on June 30 as compared to 8.29 lakh rupees crore a year ago and 9.93 lakh rupees crore on March 31. The government has been working on the policy for at least 2 years amid calls to reduce the dominance of global tech giants like Amazon.com Inc., Alphabet Inc.'s Google and Facebook Inc. Billionaire Gautam Adani owned Adani Ports and SEZ Limited on Saturday, said that its board will meet on 7 July to consider raising up to $1.25 billion through dollar bonds, according to company stock exchange filing. Kalpataru Power Transmission Limited has signed a definitive agreement to sell Alipurudur Transmission Limited to Adani Transmission Limited for a total enterprise value of about 1,286 crore rupees, the company said in an exchange filing. At the end of fiscal 2020, Maruti Suzuki and Hyundai Motor together accounted for 68% market share, which may increase more than 70% going ahead. TCS reported the first quarter profit at 7,008 crore rupees, down by 12.9% due to lockdown-led supply and demand challenges. The year-on-year fall in profit stood at 13.8%. Shares of GAIL India rose 4.6% following the news of LIC buying an additional 2% stake in the state-run energy major via open market between 13 February 2019 and 7 July 2020, which was earlier at 5%. Rolls-Royce Holdings plc warned it will take years to bounce back from the pandemic that's idled global jetliner as shares slid 9.5% after it announced borrowing £2 billion to see through its downturn. SBI has played the role of a godfather by infusing 6,050 crore rupees (48.2%) into Yes Bank as rescue package and are set to invest another 1,760 crore rupees in the Yes Bank FPO scheduled this month. PNB reported a fraud of 3,688.58 crore rupees to RBI in accounts of DHFL, and also made provisions amounting to 1,246.58 crore rupees, as per prescribed prudential norms. Sony has invested $250 million for a minority stake in Fortnite maker Epic Games. The company itself has disclosed, Epic Games raised $1.58 billion in 3 previous funding rounds. After Facebook Inc., Reliance Industries has closed deals to sell a minority stake in its digital arm to 4 other investors, receiving a total of over 30,062 crore rupees in a regulatory filing. Foxconn plans to invest up to $1 billion to expand a factory in Tamil Nadu where the Taiwanese contract manufacturer assembles, as China navigates disruptions from a trade war between Beijing and Washington and the coronavirus crisis. 6 of the 10 most valued domestic companies together added 103,625.35 crore rupees in market capitalization last week, with Reliance Industries accounting for over half of the gains. Around 30 firms, Électricité de France saw and consulting firms such as McKinsey & Co., Boston Consulting Group, at Kearney, Deloitte and PwC, have separately evinced interest in helping India firm to aware the development. Chinese app TikTok lost almost half of its unique users to Indian competitors such as Matron, Roposo, ShareChat and Chingari within 48 hours after the Indian government placed a blanket ban on 59 Chinese mobile apps. Technology giant Google has announced it plans to invest over 75,000 crore rupees in India over a period of 5 to 7 years. Google and Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai made the announcement at Google for India virtual event. RIL's Jio platforms received another tranche of payment from PE funds KKR, TPG, Vista Equity Partners and sovereign wealth funds Adia and Mubadala, which is approximately 42,057 rupees and 90 paise. Companies around the world will take on as much as $1 trillion of new debt in 2020, as they try to shore up their finances against the coronavirus, a new study of 900 top firms has estimated. Walmart has led a $1.2 billion investment in Flipkart, valuing the e-commerce firm at $24.9 billion. Flipkart widened the gap with the second most valued startup in India, Paytm, pegged at $16 billion. Infosys posted a 11.5% year-on-year growth in net profit at 4,233 crore rupees for the first quarter. It had reported a net profit of 3,798 crore rupees in the corresponding quarter last year. GE Power India said it has bagged multiple orders worth 850.69 crore rupees to implement air quality control systems technology in India. The project is expected to be commissioned by 2021. Reliance Jio complaint that the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India (TRAI) asked Bharti Airtel and Vodafone Idea to block their premium Platinum and RedX plans. Airtel are in compliance with the extant regulatory framework, Jio said. Let's begin with market news. Tesla became the highest valued automaker as its shares meteoric rise up more than 163% since start of 2020, as growing confidence among investors about the future of electric vehicles. NSE Indices Limited, a subsidiary of NSE, launched two new indices: Nifty Bharat Bond Index with maturity in April 2025 and Nifty Bharat Bond Index with maturity in April 2031. Eveready Industries' core business of batteries and flashlights witnessed huge demand as sharp decrease in imports from China and unorganized players suffered due to non-availability of supplies. RIL share price gained over 1% after the announcement that the American semiconductor giant Intel Corp will invest in the company's digital arm. HUL to rename Fair and Lovely range of products to Glow and Lovely, while the men's range will be renamed as Glow and Handsome. Emami says it has legal ownership of Fair and Handsome trademark. Discounts on gold this week in India as rose to $22 from $18 last week. Gold futures hit a record of 48,982 rupees per 10 grams on the 1st of July and ended the week at 48,050 rupees. The Finance Ministry may assess the capital requirement of public sector banks after the September quarter, as there would be greater clarity about a spike in bad loans by the time. Mutual funds net invested nearly 39,500 crore rupees in the stock markets in the first 6 months of 2020, more than 4 times the amount infused in the year-ago period. The 10 most valued Indian companies together added a whopping 137,508.61 crore rupees in market valuation last week, with TCS and RIL emerging as the biggest gainers. The shares were released on the instruction of a lender on July 2 by ITSL, which is acting as a security trustee for various NCDs, Max Financial said. The 12.5 lakh shares are equivalent to 0.47% equity stake. The Nifty Metal Index surged over 2.5%, being the top sectoral gainer on the NSE. The metal index rose over 6% in June, leading gains in all the metal companies. Indian stocks closed over 1% higher, led by gains in financials and metal stocks. Sensex ended at 36,737.69, and Nifty settled at 10,813.45. The country's foreign exchange reserves surged by a massive $6.47 billion United States dollars to touch an all-time high of $513.25 billion United States dollars in the week ended July 3. Chinese drug firm Fosun Pharma-backed Gland Pharma filed its draft red herring prospectus with the SEBI for an IPO. The company may raise up to $800 million. Shares of Mahindra and Mahindra Financial Services Limited slipped 1.2% to 206 rupees and 5 paise on 10 July. The stock hit a high and low of 211 rupees and 25 paise and 205 rupees during the session. Avenue Supermarts Limited, which owns and operates retail chain D-Mart, reported an 87.59% decline in consolidated net profit at 40.08 crore rupees for the first quarter, impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. The blistering Nasdaq, with its unassailable know-how gatekeepers and a flammable frenzy in Tesla stealing a lot of the market's oxygen, the nippiness enveloping smaller shares, vestiges of the bodily client economic system and legacy monetary establishments. MCX of India launched mock trading on new version of software to accommodate zero and negative prices of commodities derivatives contracts on its platform, where domestic markets are at 1700 IST instead of normal closing of 2330 IST. Indian market indices Sensex and Nifty ended at 1.5% higher, extending gains to the fourth week. NSE Nifty 50 Index and BSE Sensex closed at 10,768 and 36,594. Rasari Biotech Limited, the largest manufacturer of textile specialty, has come up with an 496 rupees IPO, with a fixed price band of 423 rupees minus 425 per equity share. The Rasari Biotech IPO of 496 crore rupees was subscribed 2.97 times on day 2 of the bidding process. Alibaba Group Holding Limited has cut his stake in the company over the past year to 4.8% from 6.4%, cashing out around $9.6 billion at its current share price, released on 10 July 2020. State-run Union Bank of India announced reduction in its MCLR by 20 basis points across tenors. MCLR stands at 7.40% against 7.60% earlier, the bank said in a release. Indian equities were under pressure in mid-July, in line with the global trend. SGX Nifty futures were down 0.6% in early deals, suggesting a gap-down opening for the Indian benchmark index. Markets regulator SEBI has imposed 10 lakh rupees penalty on Indiabulls Real Estate for indulging in insider trading. Where IBREL decision was to sell 4.25 crore shares held by the trust was taken on June 8, 2017. Indian stocks failed to hold on to the robust gains made earlier in the day and ended flat after traders shrugged off RILAGM announcements. Sensex settled at 36,051.81, while Nifty ended at 10,635. IDBI Bank will raise up to 11,000 crore rupees equity capital through various modes, including a qualified institutional placement (QIP), in about a year to strengthen its capital base, the bank said. Let's begin with economy news. India's unemployment rate fell to 10.99% in June from 23.5% in May, Centre for Monitoring India Economy said in its monthly data. The decline is in sync with the trend seen in the week-on-week data. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana for 3-month free grains scheme till November end, that will increase the total cost of 1.4 lakh rupees crore approximately. Scheme was approved to improve liquidity position through SPV to avoid systemic risk. SPV will cease to make fresh purchase after 30 September 2020 and will purchase short-term papers from eligible NBFCs, HFCs. CARE Ratings on 2 July revised India's GDP growth forecast for the current financial year to -6.4% as economic activity continues to be restricted due to the lockdown on account of COVID-19. The fall in demand, job loss and low purchasing power amid COVID-19 may lead to shrink in GDP. Tourism, entertainment and travel, except agricultural services, are estimated to take a long time to catch the lost pace. A draft of the new industrial policy to develop industries in the second and third tier cities of Karnataka will be presented before the cabinet. Such changes would make Karnataka the #1 industry-friendly state in the country. The country's foreign exchange reserves rose $1.27 billion to $506.84 billion in the week ended June 26, according to the latest data from the RBI. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee said on Saturday that the state's unemployment rate stood at 6.5% in June this year, which was far better than that of the country at 11%. SEBI has introduced client-level segregation and barred providers from offering advice and distribution services to the same client, besides increasing net worth requirements and tightening experience and qualification standards for RIAs and their employees. After introducing new tax-deducted at source rates for high-value cash withdrawals from banks, the Income Tax Department has now amended TDS rules further to tighten the noose and seek more disclosures. The Income Tax Department has notified rules for levying 2% tax on non-resident e-commerce players, which kicked in from April. Payment for the first installment is due on 7 July 2020. Tea production in all the key states of eastern and southern India drastically declined by 54% in the month of April due to then ongoing COVID-19 lockdown, except in South India where production rose marginally. Capgemini, as part of its Global Social Response Unit activities, has extended its commitment to the fight against COVID-19 by supporting the government of Maharashtra and BMC to overcome the coronavirus pandemic and provide critical care to those affected. The government is considering a plan to raise around 20,000 crore rupees by selling stake in the world's largest coal producer, and a bank to fund a stimulus program aimed at boosting the virus-battered economy. Principal Economic Advisor Sanjeev Sanyal said the government will take measures to boost demand with monetary and fiscal headroom and hinted that RBI may further cut interest rates as a monetary policy tool to perk up demand. India's fuel demand in June extended its recovery from a 13-year low hit in April as the consumption of refined fuels, a proxy for oil demand, rose to 16.29 million tons in June. India invested in 120 projects and created 5,429 new jobs in the UK to become the second-largest source of foreign direct investment (FDI) after the US in 2019. RBI wants banks to identify vulnerabilities early and raise capital in time and not wait for when the requirement is due, especially when banks identify vulnerability and raise capital in time. A top IMF official said that there is room for more fiscal support in India, particularly for vulnerable households and SMEs. In June, World Economic Outlook growth in fiscal year 2020-21 was revised down to -4.5%. The outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic is the worst health and economic crisis in the last century, during peacetime with unprecedented negative consequences for output, jobs and well-being, at the 7th SBI Banking and Economics Conclave. Amid the border tension with China, NCP President Sharad Pawar said China is a bigger threat to India than Pakistan as their military might be 10 times greater than India, adding that Beijing has weaned away India's neighbors to its side. An alleged attempt by a 19-year-old man to open a branch of the State Bank of India at Panruti near here was scuttled and he was arrested for forgery, police said. Bill Gates said he was optimistic about the battle against COVID-19 and called for medicines and vaccines to be distributed. Gates Foundation pledged $7.4 billion to Gavi in June to help immunization programs disrupted by coronavirus. The government is working on a special resolution plan to rescue bankrupt MSMEs. The Corporate Affairs Ministry is finalizing the plan under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which was issued by Nirmala Sitharaman to support the pandemic-hit economy. Électricité de France SA and consulting firms McKinsey & Co., BCG, Kearney, Deloitte and PwC are entities that have shown interest in creating the roadmap for a global solar grid planned by India. RBI will probably transfer 60,000 crore rupees for the year to June 30, sticking with estimates unlike last year when the payment was almost double the amount budgeted, said Arvind Chari, head of fixed income at Quantum. Wholesale prices in the country witnessed a deflation of 1.81% in June. In fuel and power basket, deflation stood at 13.60% in June, against 19.83% in the previous month. Singapore's economy plunged into recession last quarter as an extended lockdown shuttered businesses and decimated retail spending, a sign of the pain the pandemic is wreaking across export-reliant Asian nations. Ratings agencies are more concerned about India not having a fiscal and administrative strategy, Mishra observes. The economy likely to contract by 5% in the current fiscal, i.e., about a loss of 20 lakh rupees crores. Oil prices have seen sharp drop in U.S. crude inventories, with the market waiting for OPEC and its allies to decide on the easing of output curbs. U.S. WTI crude futures rose to $40.67 a barrel.